What up, y'all? It's Ty. In this video, we're going to be looking at the timeline of how Tatum, Brown, and the Boston Celtics won the NBA title. Shout out to my guy, Jay, for this video. The link to his channel will be down below in the description. Make sure to go show love to my mans. Get your coffee ready. We're looking at the Boston Celtics. In my opinion, one of the greatest teams ever assembled. I genuinely believe that. They are so good. Let's look at it, Jay. Can we hit 70? Yes. Go subscribe to my man. Go subscribe. Look at the young JB and JT.
Anything's possible. Banner number 18 has been secured. The Celtics are NBA champions.
We did it! Oh my God, we did it.
They did do it, man. And they were impressive doing it.
After a 22-year absence, the Boston Celtics are NBA champions.
So look at this timeline. Like, you know, they weren't bad overall in this timeline. They made the playoffs every single season after 2007, but 2007-2008. But I mean, they never really got over the hump.
Once again, anything's possible. Anything's possible.
You're rebuilding. This is what you want.
That's when they traded, right? Because it's like after like 5 years of the same thing, your guys are aging. I mean, I don't even know who is the GM at this time, made a fantastic trade here. Fantastic trade. You basically got you know, a lot of great picks for KG, Paul Pierce, you know, and a lot of other guys. Like they got a lot. You look at both sides of this thing. Like, yeah, they ended up giving a pick that turned into Kuzma, KG, Pierce, Jason Terry, all those guys. But look what they got in return. I mean, it was ridiculous.
But you got assets, so draft picks.
Assets,
young players.
Exactly.
This is how you start over and rebuild. They could be in position to get one of those top lottery picks and then maybe get a potential star.
In some ways ideal because they're not expected to do much this season, so he can learn on the job, learn what it takes about being an NBA coach, learn the league and its personnel.
Trading a coach is crazy to me. Like, we don't even see that nowadays.
And adjust while the Celtics are in this rebuilding mode.
And Rondo is perfectly happy to be part of the Celtics going forward. He's coming off a torn ACL. He's going to have time to adjust. But he is the only player left.
And this is what happens when you do rebuild. You're going to have, you know, seasons which aren't great, but that's okay because guess what? If you have your own draft pick, perfect time to rebuild is when you're losing.
The 2008 and 2010 finals teams of the Boston Celtics.
With the 6th pick in the 2014.
Because this is what I'm talking about. You get a guy like Marcus Smart, who obviously didn't end up being on the championship team, but Marcus Smart helped them trade for what? KP, I think?
NBA draft.
Yeah, basically
The
got
Boston
with
Celtics select
KP for Marcus
Smart from Oklahoma State University.
Obviously, I'm very excited to be here. Coming from.
So they traded Rondo and Powell for Crowder, Jameer Nelson, Brandon Wright, and a first and second round pick. This trade really didn't move the needle either way, honestly. Like, it could have if that pick would have panned out, but it didn't.
Great situation in Boston, and very thankful for all the things they did for me and the fan base. But I'm ready to start a new chapter here as a Dallas Maverick.
Why do I not remember Rondo in Dallas? I don't know, maybe it's me. Then they got Isaiah Thomas, who ended up being great for them. Drebko for Marcus Thornton, Tayshaun Prince, and a first-round pick. Didn't really
He's been caught
impact.
up in the Suns' point guard drama this year.
Wasn't impactful,
He's averaging
really.
over 15 points per game and shooting a career-high 39% from deep on the year. Plus, he's got 3 years left on his contract, which declines in value every season.
They have a young core. They're not in a rebuilding mode. So I think considering
IT and Marcus Smart in the backcourt, okay. They were 20 and 11 after the Thomas trade, okay.
these guys are going to be around for a while. They're all young. They're all hungry. And they've got a coach in Brett Stevens. It's going to be just great for them going forwards to experience.
You guys can see the rebuild is already starting here in Boston.
Obviously, when you're coaching the Boston Celtics or you're playing for the Boston Celtics, making the playoffs and getting swept in the first round, it's not a pleasant experience, but it was a great learning experience for all of us.
IT was bad in that first round.
In the 2015
Terry's good for his 16th pick,
the
man.
Boston Celtics select Terry Rozier.
It's a good pick.
From University of Louisville.
It's a good pick, man.
I was kind of worried about Isaiah Thomas, but I'm glad the coach has selected him. You know, he's having a fabulous year. You know, he does a lot for that team. He's the smallest player on the floor.
IT was great.
Really happy for him.
Ball is bobbled. There comes Chris Paul. He'll go all the way to the goal. Blocked from behind to chase down.
Look at IT. Prime IT was special. Avery Bradley was really good too.
I ride with these guys. The wheels fall off. This was a special group. Hopefully we can all stick together.
Mark is smart too.
Special in the future.
See, they had a lot of good defenders around IT.
You know, I love those guys in the locker room.
With the third pick in the 2016 NBA.
Say whatever you want about Jaylen Brown, man. He's great. He's great, and he's only getting better. He's great.
Draft. The Boston Celtics select Jaylen Brown.
He's fantastic.
From the University of California, Berkeley.
Then you also have a plethora of big men to go along with them. They can bounce Al around at the 4, some 5. They can play him in a lot of different areas. Great coaching staff with Brad Stevens. So there's probably...
It's crazy how timeless Al Horford truly is.
A lot of different things that he really, really loved about that organization. I can see why he chose Boston over Atlanta.
Isaiah Thomas is a legitimate MVP candidate. He's also...
It's crazy what IT turned into, genuinely.
5'9". The story itself is appealing. That this guy can be that good, have that positive an impact on the fortunes of his team.
Thomas makes his move. Fall-away jumper.
First in the East, behind Isaiah Thomas.
Get that little hesitation, challenge.
Crazy to me.
Just enough to get his shot off.
An ovation for Thomas, Horford, Crowder, Bradley. The Boston Celtics survive and advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. They were taken to the limit by the Washington Wizards.
The Boston Celtics, as a result of their trade with Brooklyn, have the...
Okay, so think about this for a second. You get the 1 seed, and then you won the first pick in the lottery. That is so nuts, man. That's crazy.
Best odds for the number 1 pick at 25%.
And that means that the number 1 pick in the 2000 NBA draft goes to...
Am I crazy for thinking this is rigged? Boston Celtics get the first pick. The Lakers get the second pick. I'm not going to say too much, though. I'm not going to say too much.
Isaiah Thomas may be the Celtics' smallest player, but he's definitely their biggest star.
Man, he had 9 points. I mean, maybe it was because of his hip injury. I don't really remember a whole lot from this. But again, they lost to the Cavs in 5. You can't really be too mad about it. Like you can't.
After last night's loss, the news for the Green has only gotten worse. Isaiah Thomas has been ruled out for the remainder of the postseason. He has a hip injury, and he's done for the year.
He was not great in that anyway.
The team that moves down.
So this is to me one of the biggest trades in the Celtics timeline, right? Like they swapped their first pick for the third pick, probably because they knew who they wanted or who they in their back of their minds. And then they got a future first. Now Romeo Langford didn't end up panning out, but still a crazy trade to make that helped their timeline.
And feel they can still get a very good player or the guy that they want while acquiring future number 1 draft picks. That team is the winner.
100%, and they won big, drafting Jason Tatum.
With the third pick in the 2017 NBA draft,
they won huge. Because again, if they would have held on to that and taken Markelle Fultz,
select Jason Tatum.
Just wasn't the right move.
Duke University.
Is it Young? No. Is it another guard that you can use? No.
Am I the only one that doesn't like this trade? Now, I don't know. Contracts play a big part in these type of situations. But it's like, I don't know. Like, maybe contract-wise, it helped them out. But maybe they wanted to build around their core or their young core in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and have them develop. And they needed a front court piece. I don't know.
Categories, all 4 of them. The one on the left was better than the one on the right, and they lost the one on the left.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what that trade doesn't make sense to me.
Gordon Hayward this year, they've started to establish themselves again as a destination franchise in the league.
Gordon Hayward was good back then,
Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens has to believe can compete for an Eastern Conference championship.
Danny Ainge, that's who it was. I couldn't put my finger on it earlier.
And the Cavs that would basically swap the starting.
I'll be the one to say it. Kyrie didn't really ever pan out exactly like the Celtics wanted. They traded Isaiah Thomas at the right time, though. And I know it's crazy to say, but this is Kyrie coming off a championship? I do believe in Cleveland. Maybe it was the year after they lost. I don't exactly remember. But for Kyrie, it's decent value. You know, giving up that first obviously hurts, but they traded Isaiah at the right time.
point guards for the two teams that faced off in last year's Eastern Conference Finals. Kyrie Irving going to Boston, Isaiah Thomas going to Cleveland, along with some other players and a draft pick.
You realize the incredible roster turnover.
Like, look at the roster. Look, obviously Avery Bradley doesn't really fit in this at all. Because where do you play him? But they probably could have gotten more for him. But it's Kyrie, a young Jaylen Brown, a young Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, Al Horford in his prime. I mean, this team is very, 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 very good. Obviously, the problem here is Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are both so young. That's the problem.
When you consider only 4 Celtics return from last year's team.
But this team is so good.
The new big three of Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward, and Al Horford. Head coach Brad Stevens saying it's like he took a new job with this new group.
Celtics forward Gordon Hayward was brought here to New England Baptist Hospital in Boston.
And that just stinks, man. You signed this big-time free agent, and he gets hurt right away.
Overnight with a fractured left
just stinks,
ankle.
Man.
The arena in Cleveland fell silent with everyone in disbelief. Hayward was taken out on a stretcher and flown back to Boston.
The Celtics didn't first show up. Gordon Hayward goes down. The Celtics licked their wounds and then decided that despite an entire league declaring their season over, they'd just show up anyway. And you know.
Celtics star Kyrie Irving underwent surgery today. The operation removed 2 screws.
And I'm not going to say this is good for the Celtics, but it helped the development of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. It absolutely did.
From his left knee from a previous surgery. They expect Irving to be fully healthy for training camp next fall.
Well, they virtually plummet. I mean, they're relatively non-existent. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they were knocked out in the first round.
Because, again, Kyrie's out. What are you supposed to do?
Is out. The absence of Kyrie. But that's not how you win playoff games. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Boston Celtics ended up going home in the first
But it's
round.
like, if everybody would have stayed healthy, that team would have been so good.
And the ball game is over, and Boston is headed to the Eastern.
Look at what their young core of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown did. Look at what they did. This is crazy.
Finals, back-to-back seasons. The Celtics will match up with the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I just had so much fun out there each and every night.
And it's crazy that they went to Game 7 with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown way back then. That's crazy. I and a lot of people probably forget about that. But they're young and they're still out there hooping.
If we won or lost, just how we competed and always gave it our all. It was my first year, so I was just out there having fun.
With the 27th pick
Jason Tatum as a rookie was special. They hit on Robert Williams.
Celtics select Robert
27th pick, they hit on him.
Texas A&M University.
Smart will be entering his 5th season as a Celtic. The defensive
this was
playmaker
a crazy
will be a
good
vital
deal.
backup Kyrie Irving as the
Such a
C's
good deal.
look to contend for the NBA title next season.
I appreciate that, Scout. I joined in, but I shared it with some of my teammates as well as the organization and everyone else in Boston. If you guys will have me back, I plan on re-signing here next year.
Do ya?
The talent is there in Boston. They have more talent than almost really anybody in the league outside of maybe the Warriors, top heavy, obviously. But as far as depth is concerned, Celtics have the most talent, potentially. They've got to be the biggest disappointment.
Best thing I can say is experience. We're lacking it, and because of that, we have a lot of learning to do. So
Really? Because they were fine without you, Kyrie, in the playoffs the year before.
we have a lot of ground to make up.
I'm just telling you.
In that aspect.
Some beef with Brad Stevens is not going to be why Kyrie leaves, but this team is not going to reach anywhere close to its preseason expectations. They will be fortunate to make it to the second round.
There's no time to be disappointed. I think that you take your lessons, you take your ass whooping that they handed us, you move on. You know, it's a basketball journey.
Tatum
Obviously,
struggles. Oof. Kyrie struggles. Oof.
You know, you want to keep playing, but they put a halt to that.
With the 22nd pick in the 2019 NBA Draft.
Yeah, they did not hit on these picks. Grant Williams is okay for the 22nd pick.
From the University of
Romeo Langford, not great, but that happens with the 14th pick a lot. Like, not going to hit on all of them.
To get to Brooklyn and all my family is nearby. The connection runs deep in terms of being around and all these boroughs, being in Jersey, and just having
Horford in Philly just wasn't great, man.
Since I was a kid, it's been a dream come true.
Competing at the highest level. We all know Boston is doing that year in, year out. I want to be a part of something really special.
Kemba was good in his prime.
Compete at the highest level and give myself the best opportunity to make a run in the playoffs.
This is a star contract.
I thought after that conference finals run, he looked like a potential all-star player. Maybe not a perennial all-star player, but a guy who makes 3 or 4.
This is a great deal for Jaylen Brown.
Career. He didn't look like that last year. It's a big year for him.
The Celtics enter the 2019-20 season with a revamped roster.
Going from Al Horford to Daniel Tice is crazy, though.
Gone is Kyrie Irving.
The rest of the team is still
Kemba
good.
Walker. Dynamic tandem of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are poised to take the leap to superstardom.
Jason Tatum has emerged as a superstar and a franchise cornerstone for the Boston Celtics.
While he's taking the leap that we thought he was going to take last year, we can point to all of the reasons why it didn't happen last year. The team didn't meet expectations, Kyrie Irving's role on the team.
Tatum drives George right there. Tatum gets a wide open look and knocks it down. Jason Tatum.
Oh my gosh, Paul George. Even look at Jaylen Brown's stats, though.
That again, like they're making that live.
Man.
That is it. The Boston Celtics will advance to take on the Miami Heat.
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown still were doing it.
Take on the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference
in the
Finals.
bubble.
You want those expectations if you want to be that guy capable of doing those things.
Jaylen Brown was great in this series. 56%.
I go through some tough things, some ups and downs. I think I can learn a lot moving forward.
Tatum was decent too, though. Just should have shot better.
26th pick in the 2020 NBA draft.
If they would have kept Desmond Bain,
the Boston
they hit on
Celtics
all these picks. They hit on
Peyton
all these
Pritchard
picks.
from the
Every one of them
University
they hit
of
on.
Oregon.
Oh, look at the
Something to
dog.
be thankful for on Thanksgiving. The Celtics announced Jason Tatum's contract extension is official. In a statement,
You got to.
Danny Ainge said Jason is someone who will be a central figure to the organization's championship aspirations for many years to come.
Today, signing all-star wing Gordon Hayward. It's a 4-year, $120 million deal. Hayward played the last 3 seasons with the Celtics.
If he just could have avoided injuries, man.
Experienced some severe injuries, and he just turned 30 years old.
I'm a huge fan of Jason Tatum. I think he's a rising star in this league.
They're just missing a
So
big,
is
like
Jaylen
Tristan
Brown.
Thompson.
There's no doubt in my mind, with all due respect to Jason Tatum, but Jaylen Brown is the best player on the Boston Celtics.
Look at Perk.
This stuff
He's
continues
not wrong.
in Boston with these guys struggling. Why have we raved about Brad Stevens so much? You got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. This is the sport of basketball. You should not be a 500 team with 2 studs like
Facts.
It is bad news for the Celtics. They have announced that Jaylen Brown was diagnosed with a torn
Injuries
ligament in
just
his left
stink,
wrist,
man.
is expected to have surgery to repair it later this week, ending the rest of his season.
But can the Celtics win a title with Tatum and Brown as their cornerstones?
No, you're not saying Tatum and Brown and 2 other dudes as good as Brown. If it's only going to be 2, it needs to be Shaq and Kobe in their primes.
What is
I mean, it's kind of true. They didn't do it with just those 2.
happened to the Boston Celtics? It's just underwhelming for me. We were talking about a couple of years ago getting to the Eastern Conference Finals multiple times.
Brown was hurt,
Talented of
though.
a team. Now to a team that's talking about playing in the play-in tournament.
It's an up and down season. A lot of guys had COVID. Guys dealing with injuries.
That's what I'm saying. It's just tough
First time being
with
eliminated
injuries.
in the first
Kemba was
round.
bad in
Not
the
way that we
playoffs.
envisioned this season going. Guess it's a learning experience.
Every time Tatum lost, guess what he said? A learning experience. That's what he said.
Boston Celtics president of basketball operations, Danny Ainge, stepping down after the team was eliminated. Current Celtics head coach Brad Stevens expected to, quote, assume a more prominent front office role with the team.
It's a lot of changes. The roster looks
Al going
great.
back to
Everything
Boston?
around here seems to be coming together.
For
They
Kemba
wanted us to
Walker,
get together
Şengün?
and get working. We haven't had the whole team.
Good thing Al panned out.
I'm even more excited.
That's all I'm going to say.
First time head coach, let alone any head coach, they would jump at this
Man,
opportunity
he
to
may.
work with our guys. And so
If you could have
it's
just
an ideal
stayed
fit for me, a team
business-like, you'd have been
that's
good,
high
man.
expectations.
You'd had a
Come
championship.
from, played in the playoffs all 9 years of my coaching career, so look to continue that.
The Boston Celtics have a new point guard.
I like Dennis Schroeder.
Has signed a 1-year,
Especially along
$5.9
Jaylen Brown
million
and Jason
deal.
Tatum.
Schroeder averaged 15.4 points
I like Schroeder.
and 5.8 assists in 61 games last season.
Marcus Smart is a starter on a perennial playoff team, a former first-round draft pick, one of the elite defenders in the game of basketball. And he's getting less than $20 million a year.
They signed
in today's
Sam
NBA
Hauser.
economy.
Are Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown redundant as
This
a
team
duo?
is good.
I got you.
They're redundant.
You have to put guys around them that's going to complement them. We don't have to worry about them, quote unquote, coexisting. They both can ball.
The Celtics just really struggle to generate consistent, good offense because they have a lot of guys who are not really pass-first players. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
I mean, but then you have Rob Williams on the court. That's going to make things tougher.
Their offensive issues at the other end is part of what's got them again.
It's time to break them up. And now we're at the point where they're...
I remember this, though. There was so many rumors going around about this.
Finals, I mean, they're a threat to not make the playoffs. How much backsliding can the Celtics afford to do before management says, okay, that's it. This is not working.
This was crazy because I do remember that.
I think they got better. Not contender better, but I do.
This is the trade that did it for him. I'll be the one to say it. This is the trade. 2 future first-round picks is crazy. But Derek White's the piece.
They improved. Derek White's a very good player. Excellent defensive player. Can defend
Derek White's the
multiple
piece,
positions.
man.
And where they gain is in playmaking. Derek White's averaging close to 6 assists per game.
Than he actually is. He's 6'9", 237, but he has a 7'6" wingspan. Oh, that's amazing!
But Derek White was the piece, man.
Here's Tatum. He comes in. It wasn't even really...
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are coming together. They actually looking like they enjoy playing with one another. So when I look at the way that Jason Tatum is playing right now, he's actually playing like a top 5 guy in the NBA.
I mean, his stats are impressive.
Will fall short as the Boston Celtics advance to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yep, they beat the Bucks too, coming off a championship, right?
Here in Boston. With the rebound, throws it up in the air, and the Boston Celtics will go to the NBA Finals.
In 7 too.
They complete a wire-to-wire victory on Miami's home court.
Our level of poise at times throughout this series and previous series.
This was crazy though.
Taking care of the ball, things like that.
The Warriors.
It's easy to look back and see and say all the things you could have done better.
And this is a series Tatum struggling, man. Shooting 36%.
Trading guard Malcolm Brogdon to the Boston Celtics. Celtics are sending back Daniel Tice.
It made him better. Brogdon.
Malik Fitz.
If Brogdon could stay healthy, he's so good. Brogdon, when he's healthy, is so good.
Ime Udoka led the Boston Celtics all the way to the NBA
Improper
Finals.
relationship, man.
Now the team is benching its new star coach for the entire season. ESPN reporting it's over a consensual relationship with a female staffer.
Come on, dog.
I think the Celtics
what are you
still
doing?
Win the East.
This team is so good.
I'm not picking them to win the East. I just believe in Ime Udoka doing in 1 year what Brad Stevens couldn't do in 7 years or so as the head coach, taking them to the finals. If Missoula proves me wrong,
Brogdon's a great addition.
Tatum. Good ball fake, one more. Tatum, oh, he caught one. Punched it on Giannis.
But even in 2023, this team was so good. Am I the only one that thinks that they are like underperforming?
The 19th head coach of the Boston Celtics. Remember, he became the interim head coach just a few days before training camp opened because of the Ime Udoka suspension.
Is there any doubt in your mind you guys are the best duo in the NBA?
I guess, yeah. I mean, I believe in him. We've obviously shown that we can play together at a high level.
Man, look at them. Like, it's ridiculous.
Along the way,
Brogdon won 6th Man of the Year, too.
As the Boston Celtics will advance once again to the Eastern Conference Finals.
And B pushed him, though.
18, still very much
look at Jaylen Brown's efficiency.
Jaylen
Brown gets hate, but look at his efficiency.
Magic Johnson was watching this game last night, and he tweeted this: in my 44 years being associated with the NBA, I never thought I'd see a Boston Celtics team, a franchise.
What Jimmy did against the Celtics is impressive. And I don't like Jimmy Butler.
Wit.
It's off the Smart for the 7th game. The Celtics are going to win. There's a game 7 back.
That was ridiculous.
Finish to this game.
You know,
that was ridiculous.
My ankle, and it's tough because it kind of impacted me the rest of the night. It was just frustrating that I was kind of like a shell of myself. It's tough to move.
That was impressive, though. Coming back, they almost won in 7.
It's time to break Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum up. Brown was horrible tonight. Tatum, this is the time that he's supposed to step up. If you're the front office of the Celtics, how
they
much
were both
longer
bad
you
in that
be
game
patient?
7.
It's time to end this relationship right now.
But they didn't. They built on it, right? And they did.
This to me is a giant question mark. I understand the talent. I understand
this is
the
crazy. Getting KP 2 first-round picks for Marcus Smart is
blocking
ridiculous.
abilities, but Marcus Smart is a former Defensive Player of the Year.
That's
I
crazy
don't love
to
it. Boston clearly coveted Porzingis, and they believe
as they
he's
should.
What they do.
They should.
Grant Williams becomes the Celtics' second
They gotta
homegrown
steal
draft
in
pick to get
Porzingis.
traded this year after Marcus Smart was sent off to the Memphis Grizzlies. Williams is set to sign a $54 million deal with the Mavs.
Two-time NBA All-Star Jaylen Brown made history.
You had to sign him for the Supermax.
26-year-old Boston Celtics
You had
player
to.
signed the
Going
biggest
into his prime,
contract
you
in
had
NBA
to.
history yesterday. Almost $304 million over 5 years.
The Drew Holiday trade's the one that I get astounded by.
The Celtics have acquired guard Drew Holiday from the Blazers.
Looking back at this in hindsight, so cheap. And I love Brogdon, but this is so cheap.
2 first-round picks.
But
the Celtics are
for the
eager
Blazers,
to retain Holiday long-term.
they don't
as a
want
player option
Holiday.
for next season.
There's really nothing to discuss here. I consider the Boston Celtics to be the favorites in East.
This team was so good, man.
If not the
Their
entire
bench
NBA,
going into the year
Celtics,
maybe
as
had some question marks.
Win an NBA Finals
But
series against
Pritchard
them,
was
they
good.
beat them.
Hauser was good.
How sold are you on the Boston Celtics? The Celtics gonna win the championship. The Boston Celtics are the best team.
They
the
are.
Boston
They were.
Celtics are gonna win the championship. Guaranteed.
Look at Chuck.
What's the date today? Guarantee today.
He was right.
7 years in the NBA now, we learn to appreciate the process. All the while we want to hang a banner. We can't skip steps. And, winning 60-plus games, clinching the best record in the league, it's a big deal. You're going to have to win some games on the ring regardless in the playoffs to do what you want to do.
He did.
I mean, that duo is just crazy. That duo is crazy. And you're surrounding them with Drew, Kristaps, and Derek White. It's ridiculous.
I'll give you that snapback.
If this team stays together,
in a good mood today and every day, I would say, but of course it sucks to be out and not be able to play with my guys.
KP's out and it doesn't matter.
But doing what I can now to come back as soon as possible.
But the Celtics, mission accomplished for the second round.
Look at how good Jaylen Brown is. Jaylen Brown was efficient every single series.
The 6th time in 8 years. The Celtics are heading back to the NBA
Sweep the Pacers. Look at Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, both great. Both great.
For the 2nd time in 3 years and the 23rd time in franchise history. And that's going to do it. The Boston Celtics are 1 win away from an NBA title and now have a 3-0 lead here in these NBA
They're just too good. Like even the Mavs, they were great this year. They didn't have enough though. The Celtics, just too good. Too good, man. Too good.
To present to the Boston Celtics the 2024 Larry O'Brien Trophy.
And I think what's more impressive to me is Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown combined for 43 points. The supporting cast though was great as well.
Bill Russell Finals MVP goes to Jaylen Brown.
Just so good. So good. Both of them. And they didn't even shoot that well. And they still won the NBA championships. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you are doing it. As always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.